Hey there, welcome back to this week's episode of Finance Fridays. I'm your host, Lucas Bolahood with Coldwell Banker RMR Real Estate and the Bolahood Group. And I'm joined by my esteemed co-host with RBC, Alexandra Job. Alex, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm on site here at RBC in Whitby, so different backgrounds for everyone today.
Well, it's certainly the rain hit us this morning. It's been a bit of a wet weekend here as we're getting out of the Victoria Day long weekend. It is Wednesday, the 24th. We're recording this today, but it was damp this morning. It looks like the sun's popping out a little bit. Certainly from your window, it does.
Yep.
And we had Mother's Day as well 2 weeks ago there. How did you enjoy that, Alex?
That was so nice. So such a sweet day. It kicked my feet up a little bit.
Yeah,
Enjoy with my
right.
family. Kids spoil me. It's cute. My husband too. So really nice.
Did you get a bit of a day off from parenting?
Pretty much. I hit the movie theater with my mom and came home to dinner made. So yeah, the duties were a lot lighter.
Fantastic. That's what you want to hear. I don't know. I don't recall my cooking for my wife on the weekend, but I certainly gave her the day off. She was out with her mom and they were having a nice day together. So certainly happy Mother's Day or post Mother's Day for all you moms out there. And yeah, Victoria Day was a bit of a damp weekend for the most part for us. I was up in Bancroft area with my brother-in-law and some of his friends. He's getting married this summer, so we played a little bit of golf up there, and we got a little bit wet on Saturday, but the sun did come out on Sunday and Monday, so we had a good time out there and a little bit of a tan as a result. So it was kind of nice.
Nice. We
Yeah,
hit
but
we hit the cottage country, which was great. Cold water is freezing and the bugs are bad, but looking forward to some summer fun up there.
yeah, it's the start of the cottaging season, and it's a fun time. Of course, I know it's like who was first in the water this year. That was always a competition in our families. Who's first in the lake? Since the ice comes out, it's always freezing cold. Anybody win that race in your family?
Yeah, my daughter, and then had to stay home with a bad cough yesterday. So I'm blaming it on that.
Of course, they're fearless until they get sick, right? That's
Right.
amazing. Wonderful. Well, Alex, today I just wanted to jump through a couple of things, sort of what's been going on in the real estate market here in Durham Region. We are seeing, some emerging trends here, and it's likely going to continue into the summer, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. And we also want to talk a little bit about, because on our previous recording, we talked about sources for a deposit and sort of how that differs from what a down payment it is and things like that. So today I want to talk about sort of the costs of buying a home as well as the cost of selling, because those can differ depending on which side of the trade that you're on. So, I want to talk about that a little bit as well too today. But in terms of what's going on in the market, have you seen an increase in applications with RBC, amongst your clients and customers?
Yeah, it's certainly getting busier. I mean, the spring is always busy, but I feel like it was like slow start. We were excited to see numbers to jump from, when we went to February to March and March to April, and we were feeling like this activity, but I feel like it could be busier, and I think we're going to get there. We've been told the forecast for us is that the later half of 2023 is going to be our higher volume. So I'm sure you're feeling that as well.
Yeah, I think so. Like in April, we saw the average price increase again. It was at 956,000. There were 900, a little over 900 sales, and things were starting to sell a little faster for a little bit more over the asking price. And that continued trend of underpricing and holding offer presentation dates is far more common now than it was in the past year, considering the changes in the market. And just monitoring the activity now, 3 weeks and a couple of days into May, we're up over 740 sales for an average price at 933,000, and there's still 100 that are conditional. That does include the freehold properties, that includes your condo style units and the commercial market as well. So, we are looking like we're going to probably be right on par with in terms of the number of sales we saw in April. So that trend in terms of the sale activities is remaining pretty well on par from where it was even back to March as well. But I think the one thing I've noticed here, based on some of the stats I've been looking into, is the list to sale price ratios dropping under 100%. That might mean that we're seeing some of the homes that have been on the market for a little while. Generally, that means that they might be overpriced, or the seller's holding out for a number higher than what the market has brought to them so far, and they're changing their tune, and maybe they're starting to sell as well and taking a price under what they've had it listed for. So that may
Okay.
be also a sign that we've had inventory challenges and that people are starting to, make some stronger pushes for those homes that have been on the market for a while, and
Or
sellers
longer.
are seeing
Mhm.
that. And yeah, so I think we're seeing that as well. And just looking at sort of our new listing to sale ratios down pretty drastically. It was at over 73% in April, and looks like right now we're trending at around 55, 60%. So, inventory might start to go up as a result here, or one of the things that's happening is inventory is going up a little bit. Active listings as of this moment were 1,386, and we closed out April with 862 on the market. So that works out to around a month and a half of inventory, which is a big increase from where we were last month. But we'll see how things shake out here in the next couple of weeks. But I do suspect we're going to see some an increase in the average price and as it pertains, excuse me, to activity going on in our marketplace. So positive signs
Right.
for sellers, and buyers obviously need to be tactful and prepared to compete because the competition is pretty fierce out there. Still seeing double-digit offers on offer day coming in.
Right. I will mention, Luke, there's been some headline talk about rates increasing. I think that just sort of sets like an alarm on people. I don't know. You know, we're going to have another announcement from Bank of Canada I just think it's the first week of June. I've got to look that up again.
Yeah, I think it is.
But it's still our forecast is that they will stay the same. But just because we were kind of talking about this earlier, just because prime is where it's at and the posted rates don't make a big adjustment for the banks doesn't mean that rate offerings aren't changing. Like, they change often, they change all the time. So, you know, what you could get 2 weeks ago from your bank might not be the same as today, although you didn't see a rate announcement happen on the news. So those pre-approvals are really important to lock something in and guarantee that you're going to get the best rate during that time period, your 120-day window. But, you know, don't be too alarmed with every news headline.
Yeah, I think we went through a lot of that in the last years. The market sort of had adjusted
Yeah.
back as a result of those rate increases. Headlines saying that prices have dropped or interest payments have increased so much, and it's all relative. But we need to be wary of what the headlines are saying, not to overreact to those too much. Now, actually, we're kind of talking about sort of what we're expecting to happen here. So maybe we should jump a little bit into the actual forecast that I think we're going to see
Sure.
throughout the summer and maybe into the fall here. Like, just based on the activity we're seeing now, I would expect that it's going to continue on its current trajectory here. It's going to keep going up in my estimation. Now, I think we'll see a little bit of stagnation in terms of like buyer activity in the summertime, which is pretty
Yeah.
normal as people go on holidays, as kids get out of school and that kind of stuff. But then as September hits, it starts to increase again. I think you mentioned that as well. With people are trying to get the home sold and, just get kids into school and all that kind of stuff and move on to the next phase. You'll see an increase in activity there at times as well. But I don't see demand really changing so much. And should it not change and inventory levels remain where they are at under 2 months of inventory, we should see average prices eclipse the $1 million mark in pretty short order here. If we're looking at, we're trending in that direction, and it should happen. It could happen in as early as June. So we'll see how that goes. But again, if interest rates aren't dropping, we're going to see more buyers start to drive outside of Durham Region to where homes may be more affordable for them as well.
I think that will start again. Yeah.
Yeah, what's that old adage? You drive till you qualify.
Yeah.
I think we've heard
Well,
that
that's
one
before.
before. Yeah, so I think as we get through the summer, we should start to expect to see that increase in activity, and as we hope around that time, interest rates will hopefully start to come down, and that should continue to steepen that curve in terms of the prices increasing. But that really can all depend on the cost of goods and services and how that relates to the Bank of Canada's inflationary targets. I think the target's
So many
2%.
things.
Yeah, and we were at 4.4% inflation. Was at 4.4% last I checked. So, as they get close to that 2% target, maybe rates will go down, start to come down as September hits this year. But we're in a very strong seller's market. And, like in 2021, you may want to think about selling your home or buying a home, excuse me, because there was such little inventory available before deciding to sell your existing property. But one thing I'll say to those folks who think or think they would prefer that option, one thing that is important when you're in a changing market right now, or this is an advantage to selling your existing home first, is that you'll know what kind of equity that you're going to get out of that sale, after
Hmm.
getting discharging your mortgage and all that kind of stuff, which will give you some insight and greater confidence and peace of mind that you can comfortably afford that purchase you're going to make because you know what it is you're going to get for the home that you're currently living in, right? So that I think that's
Right.
something that's people should think about as well, if they're looking to make a move and maybe move upgrade their home, move up because they've got a growing family or something. That might be a consideration that works for you, if you're concerned about the what kind of mortgage you're going to take on that new purchase, right?
So I know if, one of the things we're talking about is preparing our clients and going through some costs of buying a home and costs of selling a home. So I think this would be a great time to kind of go through our list. I've got one, you've got one, just to kind of run down some things. And I think that's all about being prepared. So if you're a person out there that's thinking about jumping into the market or making a move or buying an investment property, taking these things into consideration when you're running your numbers, right?
Yeah,
So do you want me to
absolutely.
go through some costs of
Yeah,
buying first? So
take
we've
me
got,
through what you've got here.
so of course we've got the down payment minimum being 5%, and that's to the first 500,000. We're kind of priced out of that now, right? We're not seeing those purchases under 500 in our market anyways, but there are still some things out there. And so if it's going to be an insured deal, your minimum is 5%, or and 10% of the difference after that $500,000 purchase, and that goes up to $1 million. Those are your minimum down payments. As you're saying, the average price is hitting that $1 million mark. And with that being said, you have to keep in mind that we do not offer default insurance on purchases over $1 million. So even if it's $1.1 million, you have to have that 20% down payment prepared. Okay, whether that's
Yeah,
coming from the equity of a sale or equity in a property, gifted funds, your own savings, or combination of those things. Yeah, we're going to start to see that. And I feel bad, you don't want to have a huge insured mortgage loan, but it does kind of take the market to a different place, right?
yeah, it does. Once it hits that point, there becomes fewer qualified people that can really purchase in that marketplace.
Yeah.
The first time buyers are going to have a hard time finding a detached property that's within their budget, if it's a
Yeah.
single income situation or what have you. So that's where we
The
see that
income.
dropping at a marketplace, and you have to slowly work your way up to get to that point. That might mean buying a condo first or whatnot just to get into the market.
I know,
And then
and then make
you
your
can
way
build
up.
equity and build wealth from there.
Because the
Exactly.
income to qualify for this, is a lot. It's significant. So a lot of dual income versus single income, but that's for another topic. So I'll go through my list again. We got the down payment, land transfer tax. Land transfer tax is significant. There is a rebate for first-time home buyers. But land transfer tax, whether you're in Durham Region or Toronto, that will be different. I use a calculator online that I have. So depending on the property location, you can plug that in and it will spit out that number. But clients are quite surprised. Like I was speaking to someone the other day buying in Toronto, and it was over $20,000 of land transfer tax. So do your research and get that information beforehand. We've got our legal fees. Again, this is just on the purchase side. I would say about $1,000 to $2,000. And that's just on the buy, but if you've got a purchase and a sale, you've got double the legal fees there. You've got mortgage application fees or appraisal fees. So between $300 to $700. Sometimes we can work with our clients to cover the mortgage application fee, which includes the appraisal. Speak to your RBC mortgage specialist about that. You also have home inspection. That's more your department than mine, but it's certainly one to consider. 800, 500, 800,
Yeah,
about 800.
every vendor's different, but some of the quotes that I've received recently, in that $800 mark, it all does depend on the size of the home as well. But somewhere between 5 and 8 is pretty standard in our marketplace, I would say. And conditional offers are being accepted again. So like if you're thinking of a condition on financing, or a home inspection to make sure that you're aware of any potential deficiencies that are in the home, and recommend you can make decisions on how to remedy them, even with the seller potentially.
Right.
But those are costs that, again, they're soft costs. They're not a hard cost necessarily. In terms of a home inspection or a survey, for example. If
Yeah.
you've got a larger property, a survey might be a little bit more costly to obtain. Think about a home that doesn't have a fence in yet, where you need to know where your property lines are. So a survey is necessary so you can figure out where you can place your fence, and avoid any issues with your neighbors and that kind of thing as well. So those are soft costs. They're not fixed ones for you, but they're important to consider and factor into the purchase, because that does come out of pocket.
Right. Moving costs, this can be, it can vary dramatically here, of course. $1,000. Are you calling on your brothers and your buddies to move your stuff? You're hiring a truck and professional company. I've done, moderately, like both, but hiring people to move your stuff, oh my gosh, furniture is so heavy. It's such a big job, and I think people underestimate that. So if you can hire, and I hear that movers book up so fast. So that's something. Once you know your date, get someone booked, because you might think, oh yeah, I know of all these moving companies, but they book up fast. And that's a big one. Oh, and frog boxes. I don't know. I mean, I'm not here to promote any other companies, but I've used those in the past, and they're amazing. You rent the boxes and then you can ship them back. So environmentally friendly, and you can label them. They come with the stickers and everything else. They were great for moving. And then, of course, we've got new furniture. So new furniture, that's going to depend on, what you're taking with you and what you need to fill your new space. But that can be a big one too. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, well, you think about like moving costs, for example. It's not just the big, the big burly men that are, lifting your furniture into the truck and packing it and everything. But you've also got to think about like boxes and packing tape and different stuff that pack your television, or all your clothes that have to be on a hanging rack or what have you, right? Like those things start to add up in a hurry. So that's also sort of factored into here too, not just the labor and the vehicle involved, but also those other things to make sure things are moving safely and not breaking or anything being damaged in transit. So that's important too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my list for buying.
Well, then those are things that people need to be aware of and be prepared for, right? If we were to just run a quick tally on what those costs might be, we could be looking at $5,000, not even including your down payment or land transfer tax, but talking about your legal, mortgage fees, and inspection, a survey, and your moving costs and whatnot. Like that's $5,000, $6,000. So it's something that you need to be aware of, depending on what you're looking at there. So make sure you are aware on the buying side of what it is it's gonna cost you. Certainly at closing too, right? There's talking on the selling side of things, there's adjustments that are made on closing that you need to also pay for. Now on the selling side, sometimes these things are just going to come right out of the equity that you get out of the home or from the purchase. But legal fees, we touched on that already. You've got realtor commissions and realtor fees. The seller pays commissions, and those fees can range depending on the type of service that you select. So that can that can change, but usually you're paying the buying side of the listing agent that you work with. They're going to pay the buying side, and then they're also going to have their costs or their fee as well. So generally it's sort of one fee, and the listing agent will split them up between the two parties, kind of thing. But that's the standard, you could say, is let's say around 5% of the purchase price, and that's what those commission fees can entail. I'm also thinking about like mortgage discharge fees as well, and what that might cost. I think you've explained to me before with RBC, for example, that's what, like $350 or something like that.
Yeah, around $350, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So if you've got to discharge that,
and the lawyer would see that on the payout statement from the bank when the property is being sold.
Yeah, and the lawyer generally handles this kind of stuff too at closing, right?
Yep.
But there might be costs associated with a per diem on interest for the mortgage. That being from the date of the last payment that you've made to the closing date. There might be some adjustments to be made there for unpaid interest to the bank. Then there's adjustments for or paid property taxes and utilities for like half of a month if you're or whatnot, or if we pay your property taxes quarterly, there might be a period of adjustment there that needs to be paid back to you, right, as a result. And then I guess we talked about already moving costs and things like that. So there certainly are costs associated on both ends of a transaction that you need to be aware of, and because it's not just my legal or my realtor's fees, or not just my down payment, my land transfer tax, there's other things that you need to make sure you've got funds available for in order to make that a successful transition.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
now, Alex, we've gone through
Good.
quite a bit of material here.
I know.
Is there anything you think we've missed out or left out?
Did we
Excuse me?
miss anything? I think we better save it for our
Yeah, maybe
next
for
one.
next time. That's a good one. Well, by the time that we record next, we'll have a chance to see how the numbers look here in Durham Region for
Mhm.
May, and obviously some more fun stuff into June here. Father's Day is coming up, and then obviously Canada Day into July, and all those fun things we'll get to do this year. So, well, thanks, Alex, for joining me today. For those watching, you'll get to find Alex's contact information at the end of this video here. Feel free to like, subscribe, and leave a comment or contact us directly if you have any questions. And we'll be with you again soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.